This is Carson Edwards from the Boston Celtics, and you're listening to the Boiler Breakdown podcast hosted by Tanner Lee, Evan Webb, and Andrew Eiler.
And as Carson Edwards said, you are listening or watching to another episode of the Boiler Breakdown podcast. It's been a little while since we've done one. Kind of took a little short break. I think the last one we recorded was prior to the at Minnesota game.
I think you're right. Yeah, because it would have been like that Monday or Tuesday before that one.
Yeah, it feels like it's been a long time. A lot of basketball feels like it's been played since then. Of course, the Boilers dropped a close one up at the barn, but they rebound pretty well, I would say, this past week.
Yeah, I'd say so.
2-0, scored 75 points both games. I didn't realize that till this morning.
Yeah.
Beat the Spartans 75-65 and beat the Cornhuskers 75-58. Let's go ahead and jump right into Tuesday's game, which saw Michigan State coming into town. I'm assuming I already know this answer, but is Michigan State your guys' second most hated team?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Easy.
The Michigan State-Indiana game yesterday was actually a pretty tough one just because, I hate both teams so much. Different teams for different reasons. But, yeah, it's pretty much like a 1A, 1B type thing.
It is. It keeps getting worse, too.
Yeah. So I was thinking after we beat Michigan State, I was like, man, there's really not a whole lot of things that are better than being at Mackey, especially like Tanner, where your dad and you sit, and where my dad sits, where I'm able to sit a few times, is right behind the visitors bench, and being in Mackey during a double-digit win and listening to Izzo just whine like crazy like he does on the sidelines. There's really not a whole lot of things better than being there for that.
No, there's not. He's my favorite coach to heckle by far.
Yeah.
He is so easy to hate. I feel like he's just the worst.
That's a nice way to put it. We could describe him in many words. That's the PG version.
Yeah.
But I did laugh yesterday though that they beat the Hoosiers, because this is the worst Michigan State team I've ever seen. And
yeah. Yes, I was gonna say worst definitely in our lifetime, but I mean, Izzo's pretty much been there. I mean, for a long time, most of our lives. So it's weird to see this Michigan. I mean, I've said it before, and last time we played them, but it's just so weird to see a Michigan State team like this, because it's just so, untypical of them. They don't have a good big. They don't have a really good point guard like they had with Winston in the past and other guys. And yeah, they've got a lot of guys who are great third, maybe second options, but kind of like what we saw last year with our team is we had a lot of guys who are really great second and third options, but when they have to be the first option, it doesn't bode well for them.
Yeah, they have a lot of talent. Yeah. I was terrified going into Tuesday night's game. Honestly, all day I'm like, I'm just not looking forward to this. This is going to be the game that Michigan State clicks.
Yeah, well, I was worried because it was like, man, okay, they got us and they got Indiana coming up, like both winnable games for them. I mean, obviously Michigan State has struggled, but it's like those are, if they can win those games, they're right back in. They're maybe not right back, but they're, they build some confidence and getting close. Yeah, maybe getting close to back on the bubble. And thankfully, we did our part, anyways.
Yes, yeah, it was nerve-wracking for a little while.
Yeah.
I was just happy I have to be up instead of down 15 or whatever it was when we went to East Lansing. But
yeah, down 15, only scored 16 at East Lansing. Yeah,
but Trey came to play against one of the teams from the state he grew up in yet again. I mean, he just takes it to the Spartans. He was on fire that night. Made a lot of tough shots.
Some crazy circus off balance shots, just flinging it up there.
And just the fact that I was really shocked that Michigan State's decision to not double the post, just because, I get the reason Izzo doesn't do it is because you don't want to, get down a bunch by a barrage of threes, but we have not been shooting very well going into that game. So I would have at least taken a couple possessions to try it out. And if it beats them, then it beats them, but you can change it back. But it did not work out for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and saw that yesterday when Michigan State played Indiana. They didn't double Trace Jackson-Davis, and he had a career game against them.
34, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, it's all right. They lost. So
yep. And both those teams have really difficult schedules coming up the next 2 weeks. So it's just crazy to think about in regards to Purdue's schedule. We only have 3 games left.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Isn't that 4? We're just giving up on that second Nebraska game.
I think so. I think it looks like to me like that game won't happen. Michigan's going to have 3 games that aren't going to happen. So Michigan's only going to play 17 games. Purdue, Indiana, Penn State, Northwestern, and somebody else will play 19. All the rest will play 20.
Yeah.
That's gonna. Go ahead.
That's gonna be tough for the. It could factor into the Purdue being the 4 or the 5 for the Big Ten tournament, being that double bye.
Yeah, I think Iowa, because I know we're right behind Iowa right now, and obviously they have the tiebreaker. But I can't remember what their schedule is like coming up. I feel like they've got a tough stretch of games. I think we definitely have, as we've talked about in the past, we definitely got very fortunate with our schedule and how it panned out in the last part of the season.
Iowa today hosts Penn State, and then they have at Michigan next Thursday, at Ohio State next Sunday, Nebraska at home on the 4th, and Wisconsin at home on the 7th.
Wow. Okay. Got a tough little stretch.
Well, but then Purdue's got to still stay ahead. I think they're only 1 game up on Wisconsin, right? Purdue
which they both play each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
In 2 weeks. So
yeah.
I don't know. Next week's another 1 gamer. I am sick and tired of these 1 game weeks, but it is what it is, really.
I mean, I hate it too, just because of just selfish boredom reasons. But the fact that this young team gets so much time to practice is something you don't really get in the normal, in a quote unquote normal season.
Yep. It just dawned on me yesterday. Our walk-ons have not played a single second in Big Ten play this year.
Yeah, because Purdue hasn't run away and hidden any game.
I know it's
I mean,
wild.
yeah, it was the closest, and even that wasn't until the last 6 minutes.
Mm-hmm. It's wild how every game literally comes down to the very end, pretty much. It's not easy on the stress rates. I can assure you that. But
and that's what kind of everybody's talking about, how historically good the Big Ten conference as a whole is. But this is like the worst Michigan State team in decades. I don't know. 2 decades. I don't know. When was the last time they missed a tournament?
It's 1990s. I don't. Yeah, sometime in the 90s. Yep.
I think they've done 22 straight. It would have been 23 last year. But I think it's been 22 straight years that they've been to the tournament. So.
Yep, we'll see. We'll see what happens the next 2 weeks. It's going to be crazy, but glad the Boilers got it done Tuesday against the Spartans, and then yesterday, Evan, you before the game started, you were texting Andrew and I. You kind of called the game at Nebraska a lose-lose situation.
Yeah, I was not looking forward to that game at all. Just because, I mean, if you win, it's kind of a who cares. You beat the worst team in the Big Ten, a team that's been sidelined a lot this year for COVID reasons. They're playing what's this now, like an NBA type schedule of they're playing, games every couple of days. Yeah. It was kind of like, man, if you win, congrats, you do what you're supposed to. And then if you lose, it's like, oh my God. I mean, we about saw Illinois lose last week to Nebraska. I think they should have lost to Nebraska. Nebraska ran one of the absolute worst last second possessions I've ever seen. So you knew that they were. I mean, I was kind of glad that happened, or I was very glad that happened, because I think it definitely woke some people up of like, hey, the team is not going to. They've had every reason to roll over and kind of just quit on the season, but they haven't, and kudos to them for that. But I think they've been playing hard, and yeah, I was just terrified there when we kept letting them hang around. I was like, man, you're gonna mess around and get beat against a team like this. I mean, you give them confidence. They're hitting. Some guys were hitting some shots. We weren't hitting shots for a while, and it just was not a game that I'm glad we're not playing them again, because I just don't want to.
Yeah, I can't remember where I read it, but it sounded like that Nebraska offered to play Purdue twice over this week, maybe including tomorrow on Monday. But Matt
in Nebraska, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So that tells me it's probably not going to be made up, because really early this next week, really tomorrow is kind of the last date. It probably could have made sense. So is what it is, unfortunately. But yeah, kudos to Nebraska trying to get their games in, unlike Michigan, really, who doesn't seem to care to get their games in. So is what it is. But it was nice to see some guys come through yesterday for Purdue that Purdue fans have been waiting on for a long time. Aaron Wheeler, good second half performance. Sasha Stefanovic hitting 4 straight threes. Great to see him come back. It was his first field goal he had hit since January yesterday. Ivy, of course, brought it pretty good. Newman played well. Edie, I thought, played well. Travion, from a point standpoint, didn't have one of his better games, but that's good, I think, to see that Purdue can win even when he's not scoring a ton amount of points.
He only had 3 rebounds. I didn't realize they only had 3.
He didn't have a single foul either. He only played 21 minutes. So I think it was kind of Painter spreading it out. Like, honestly, I don't know if I've seen more balance. I mean, like, they went 10 deep, I guess 9 deep. Morton played 3 minutes, but everybody else played 15 minutes at least. Like, everybody that was in played a fair amount. And
it was only
Ivy's the one who played over 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's I think he's pretty set with the starting lineup. That's 7 games in a row where he's went with Hunter, Ivy, Newman, Gillis, and Williams. I think that's pretty set probably going forward, but it's just nice to have a deep bench. I mean, I wish I was hoping we'd blow him out a little earlier than we did, so Morton could get some more run. And like I mentioned earlier, maybe some of the walk-ons could have got in for once. But at this point, I don't care. Let's just take the win and move on.
Hey, a 17-point win. Can't complain.
No.
I think got the 17, like, just all of a sudden. Like, it was going back and forth there for a little bit, and then, when did Nebraska take the lead? Like 42-41? Early in the second half. Yeah, early in the second half.
Like 5 minutes into the second half. And then 5 minutes later, Sasha hits 3 threes in a row or 4 threes in a row, whatever.
Which the 3 that he hit, I was like, he hesitated for a second. I was like, do not take that shot. With the way he shoots, I was like, that is not the shot we want. And then, of course, what do I know? He nails it. And then the floodgates were open. But it was so good. It was definitely I know I kind of had a big exhale. Just like, thank God. Like, now let's roll.
Yep, it was nice to see him hit some. It was nice to see Wheeler hit that one from the corner. Isaiah hit one early. I mean, yeah, he had missed, I believe, 16 straight. Isaiah hadn't hit one in like 5 games. He finally hits one. Yeah. So it's nice to see some of these guys kind of break out of their shell. I read this morning, I thought this was an interesting stat. Purdue's 8-0 on the season when Jaden Ivey hits a 3-pointer.
Interesting.
So,
well, because it means usually everything's going right. But really, yesterday, I mean, you mentioned it. Wheeler had a good game. Ivy played really well. I don't really think Purdue played all that like well. I think it was just like a solid game. Like, it wasn't like their peak. It wasn't definitely the best. And I think that's kind of like what you said. And I think it was kind of maybe a good sign, I guess, just that they could play kind of like a baseline. Like, okay, that's just an average game and win by 17 on the road.
Yeah, I feel really confident now saying Purdue's in the tournament no matter what happens these next 3 games. I still think they would have been fine if they would have lost yesterday and then the following 3 games, but just the fact that you don't have that terrible loss to Nebraska now on the resume, I think kind of solidifies everything.
Yeah, going into this game, even listening to like Brian Newbert of Gold Black, I've him talking like, oh yeah, Purdue's going to win this game. I was like, we thought that last year. Like, I remember we were so glad we got Nebraska in the first part of the Big Ten season, and we went in there and missed like 17 layups and couldn't hit free throws, and we lost.
Got destroyed.
Yeah, it's like I hate playing in Lincoln. I feel like even ever since I came to the Big Ten, I feel like we've never really played well there for the most part. But yeah, I was just glad to get away from there. I mean, like you said, Andrew, I feel like we didn't play all that. I mean, there were
stretches. I mean, Ivy played really well and dominated.
Yeah, Ivy was 2 of 7 from 3. Newman was 2 of 8. Hunter was 0 of 2. Then you had Sasha 4 of 8. Wheeler 1 of 2. Isaiah 1 of 5. We were 5 of 10 from the free throw line. But it was still 1
turnovers. That's the most we've had in a while. I mean, they've been doing a lot better. I mean, that's where Purdue's improved kind of as the season's gone along, defensively and in the turnovers. I mean, November, December, Purdue's turned the ball over 20 times a game, and it was like, this is a nightmare. And then against Michigan State this week, it was like 6 turnovers or something real low.
One thing I was really loved to see was Ivy's defense in terms of getting blocks. I did not expect him to be the type of shot blocker he's shown this year. It's been pretty impressive.
Glides in the air, and he's long, like Andrew said, and his timing and his bounce. Yeah.
How about that tip-in dunk at the end?
He can fly, man.
He hung.
I think we're gonna need.
It looked a little like goaltending, but
I know the timing was pretty darn close. But I think we need to enjoy the kid while we can. I don't think he's going to be at Purdue for 4 years. So
no,
could be wrong, but
yeah. Yeah, we'll see.
I think he's going to be pretty special. But Ray Davis here on Facebook says, shooters keep shooting. Yesterday's shooting in the second half could give us a lot of confidence. Absolutely.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Absolutely. It's what was our second half shooting, Evan?
I got it. Field goal wise, we were 14 of 32, so it's just under 44%, and we were 5 of 17 from three, so just over 29%. We actually shot better in the first half, and both field goals and 3-pointers. We shot 50% from the field in the first half, 33% from three. So our shooting dipped in the second half, which I mean, thinking back on, I would have definitely bet the opposite just because of Sasha all of a sudden was nailing things. But we actually shot worse in the second half than we did the first half.
Yeah, I know Painter. It was either before the Michigan State game or after the Michigan State game. He was commenting on it's frustrating because we have good shooters that aren't hitting shots. He said it's different if you have bad shooters that aren't hitting shots. It is what it is, but we know what we're capable of, and it just hasn't been happening.
Yeah, I think you kind of mentioned it last year, or someone did, like how we have good shooters, we don't have proven shooters. I think obviously now Sasha's proved he can shoot, but I think it's still kind of the same. I feel like we haven't proved to be a consistent shooting like we had, even just 2 years ago.
But I think Purdue's due for a game where Hunter hits 3 threes or something. Yeah. Sasha hits 3 threes.
Another Michigan State type game
where Purdue just all of a sudden hits like 15 threes on like 23 attempts or something. And
what was the game? Oh, it was the Minnesota
somebody
game.
Out.
I'm thinking of the Minnesota game. We need another Minnesota game where someone like Newman just goes like 5 of 7, 5 of 6
or something. Yeah. Scores 30 points. Yeah.
I wouldn't be opposed to that happening Friday night at Happy Valley because this is another arena I hate playing at.
Yeah, I feel like we never, and it won't be much of a difference than when we play their normal season because not gonna be anybody there.
Yeah, it's and as far as arenas on TV goes, I gotta say Pinnacle Arena in Lincoln's one of my least favorites to watch a game at. I just don't like it. The floor is way too cluttered with stuff for my liking. I don't know.
Really?
I don't like watching games there or the barn. Those are two of my least favorites.
Yeah, the barn, their floor is atrocious looking. I hate the barn, but that's just more aesthetic reasons.
Well, it used to be dark as night in there. Now it's so bright it hurts your eyes.
Yeah.
So, but we'll see. Penn State scares me. I mean, they're an aggressive team and they can bomb it. We saw that last time we played them. They were bombing threes from half court pretty much.
Yeah, they're aggressive. They're physical. They play hard. I mean, they've been really close in a lot of their games that they have lost. So, I mean, I don't remember. I'm trying to think back to the game we played against them earlier this year. I could pull it up. I mean, it was an 8-point game. So I think it's going to be another close one.
I hope not, but you're probably right. It's another Friday night, 7:00 game. I think that this is Purdue's third Big Ten game on a Friday, I believe. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Got a comment here from Ray on Facebook. Our shots tend to start falling much easier when we move without the ball. Our bad shooting nights, we stand around ball watching a lot.
I agree. Yeah, so Purdue's offense when they're moving is really fun to watch.
Yep, swing that thing around the perimeter a couple times, and the classic motion offense. One thing that made me concerned yesterday in the game on the defensive side against Nebraska was they kept beating us on the backdoor cuts, time and time again. We were just over pursuing, being a little too aggressive, and that's what Nebraska does. They run a lot of backdoor sets, and they were taking advantage of that. Ray says he saw the game at Penn State 2015 where we stole a game. Stevens hit a 3 to send into OT. I remember that. That kind of got the ball rolling towards March. It looked like the season was dead in the water yet again, which would have been scary. That would have been 3 years in a row. Don't know what that would have meant for the future, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nittany Lions on Friday night. Should be hopefully it's not a good one, but it probably will be a good one.
Yeah, Nebraska was the only game that I was fairly confident. Like, okay, Purdue's going to win this one fairly comfortably.
I'm glad you had that confidence because
I did.
But it's I mean, this is the last road game for Purdue. I think it's the last plane trip they'll have to make. Big Ten tournaments in Indy, NCAA tournaments in Indy. So
nice.
Probably nice for the fellas, especially after that scare at Maryland they had. So Ray says Painter's favorite saying, move.
Yeah.
Yep.
My favorite, I think it was during the game. I even tweeted about it. There was very early on. It might have been like the first minute. Something happened, and I love about not having fans there. You can hear what Painter's saying. I think he literally screamed like, "What are you doing to somebody?" And I just
the Travian. Yep.
Yeah, I was
Travian.
laughing.
Yep. He got whooped on the back door, and Matt just has his arms out and yelling right at him. So it is fun. It is funny without fans. You notice certain players getting called out more by the coaches.
Mm-hmm.
So, but speaking of fans, NCAA announced this week 25% fans are going to be allowed in the NCAA tournament games. I got to think at first, which is still great. Don't get me wrong. But at first, I'm like, all right, 25%, that's going to be a decent amount. Then you're reading, well, that includes players, families, staff.
Oh,
so
I didn't see that.
It's not going to be just 25% fans.
So where the games are going to be at? Mackey, Hinkle, Bankers Life.
I've seen that. And someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I swear I saw something where Purdue is only going to allow like 12 to 13%. I think is what they're doing about right now. Like they're not doing the full 25. I think I even saw somewhere like where IU was only letting in 500 people total.
I did read that about IU.
Yeah.
I didn't see it about Mackey, but I did read that Assembly Hall's only got 500.
So. Yeah.
Including support staff and players and families. So that's going to be like
nothing.
50 tickets or something. It's going to be like nothing.
So we'll see what happens in 3 weeks comes time. But, yeah, you got Hinkle, Mackey, Assembly Hall, Lucas Oil, Bankers Life, and the State Farm Center.
Because, I mean, that's a huge difference between, like, 25% capacity at Lucas Oil, whatever they call that, versus anywhere else.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Huge difference.
I don't know how it's going to work.
Yeah, 25% of, I guess, how much can they, I know Lucas Oil holds about 65,000 for football, but I would assume you can probably get more in there for basketball because you're shrinking because they're not the field.
But they won't use the whole stadium. I'm sure they put the court in the end zone. I think is what they used to do with the RCA Dome. I remember going to seeing a Purdue IU game there.
25% of Lucas Oil. 25% of Lucas Oil is more than what Mackey holds.
Yeah, but they can spread them out so much easier.
Yeah.
Because now Lucas does have first and second round games, right? I know Hinkle and Lucas are the Sweet 16 destinations.
I think so. I know. Obviously, I know the Purdue and Indiana are hosting just the first and second round. They're not doing it after that.
Makes sense. It makes sense that they would kind of centralize it once they eliminate teams and gets to the smaller field.
Yeah.
And I know Purdue can't play at Mackey, of course, and Indiana, if they make it, can't play at Assembly Hall. But could Indiana play at Mackey and Purdue play at Assembly Hall? Do you know?
I would assume that's probably what you can do. I mean, maybe Indiana can probably get a win in Mackey for a while.
Hopefully they don't get one.
No, they're 100% going to Bank. If IU's in the tournament, they're playing every single game at Bankers Life because they're a primetime blue blood.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we'll see. It's gonna be wild. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be unlike an NCAA tournament unlike we've ever seen. It's gonna be a Big Ten tournament unlike we've ever seen because there'll be no fans there in Lucas Oil. So
I'm surprised they're still doing it.
Yeah. If they can't do fans, like why even do it at Lucas Oil? Like why not do it at Bankers Life or Hinkle would be awesome.
Yeah, Hinkle would be awesome.
Have the NCAA championship or something at Hinkle. Sweet.
Well, and the Bankers Life stuff has impacted the IHSAA tournament. Boys tournament's going to be delayed a week. The state's going to be played in April instead of the state finals because of the NCAA tournament. So, yep.
I haven't read. Are they letting fans into the boys state game?
I believe so.
Okay.
Probably just families, right?
It really, when it's come to the high school, it's like county by county, whatever the counties. Because I watched girls regional game last week at Frankton, and there's a decent amount of people there. So kind of just depends. Ray says Lucas Oil Stadium seats approximately 67,000 for football and can be expanded to over 70,000 for basketball and other major conventions and events.
Wow. Okay.
That was from the Lucas Oil webpage. Good to know. I had no idea on that.
I don't think I've never seen a basketball game. I've never seen games at RCA Dome, but I remember I went to the Purdue IU game in the RCA Dome back in 2001 or something.
2002 maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awful seats.
I went to 2 games at the RCA Dome. It was the 2003 second round of the NCAA tournament. Notre Dame beat Illinois to get their first Sweet 16 in like 2 decades. And Tom Crean's Marquette Golden Eagles with Dwayne Wade and Travis Peter and Steve Novak beat Missouri. So
wow.
Yeah. And Marquette ended up going to the Final Four. Notre Dame got beat by somebody in the Sweet 16. So.
The legend of Tom Crean was born.
Yeah, that was Bill Self coach.
You know who you remind me of?
Yeah, good old Tommy boy. Still.
You said that was the Bill Self Illinois team?
Yeah.
Wow. It's crazy. It kind of, I mean, going a little off topic, I know with Painter, recent interviews of him talking about how he landed at Purdue. It's crazy to link all those coaching jobs and how it ended up with Painter being at Purdue. Because if Bill Self doesn't leave Illinois, Bruce Weber doesn't get the Illinois job. And he probably maybe gets the Purdue job, and then who the hell knows where Painter ends up.
Yeah, I think it was probably a pretty good chance that Bruce would have been Purdue's coach.
Yeah,
I thought back then when I was younger, thinking about Katie retiring, I thought Bruce made the most sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now and I don't know if you guys saw this. We're kind of getting on a tangent here, but that's okay. We don't have a ton to talk about today, so this is a different podcast, anyways. The earliest we've ever, we've the earliest we've ever recorded one. So everybody that's listening to this is actually going to listen on the day of, not the next morning. Yeah. So I saw this on Knucklehead Central the other night, ranking Painter's best assistants. We've been pretty blessed to have some good assistants.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was an interesting ranking list.
Yeah. I saw that everybody had Conzo first, which I would kind of agree with, but I also think, like, I don't know. I don't remember much about outside of the recruiting. I mean, helping with getting the baby boilers. I really don't know that much as far as what he contributed offensively, defensively or I don't know if I paid that much attention.
Yeah. What did he leave?
Not as much.
Did he wasn't there the whole because he got the Tennessee job after. Is that where he went first? Was Tennessee?
Missouri State?
Oh, Missouri State. That's right.
I think he was Tennessee. With the baby boilers 1 year.
Yeah, I was gonna say like 20.
Wasn't
or something at the latest. Yeah, he's been gone for a while.
Yeah, because he went to Missouri State, then Tennessee, where Tennessee State fans hated him, and then he got them Sweet 16, then Cal, and then
because
they had that run at the end of that. They like I don't know. They were like when they made it to Sweet 16.
I think they were a playing game, weren't they? Were they a playing game?
I think they won 3 games. I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I think they were an 11 seed in the playing game.
They lost to Michigan in the Sweet 16 at Lucas Oil, I believe. Mm-hmm. Yep. So, yeah, he's doing well. Missouri could be a dark horse to make a run.
Who would you guys have second?
I love Micah Shrewsbury, so I'm biased there.
Future Butler head coach.
Yeah, either Shrewsbury or Paul Lusk was pretty good.
Yeah, Paul Lusk. I like Paul.
Greg Gard.
Great guard.
Gary
Gard or
Gary.
Who am I thinking of?
Mercer.
Yeah.
Greg Gary.
Greg Gary. I was thinking.
He's doing well. He's doing really well.
Yeah.
Owens. Yeah.
Yeah, I like Jack Owens a lot.
I even don't think Brantley gets enough love. I mean, what he's done with the big man.
He's been there a long time, though.
I don't think he has any desire to be a head coach. So I think hopefully he's there for a long time because he's done a hell of a job with our bigs and kind of really establishing us as a big man program.
Ray said Bruce Weber was a good one as well. Yeah, under Katie. I mean, he had Weber, he had Lavin at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Jay Price was assistant for a long time under Katie and then Weber, and then I don't think he's coaching anywhere right now. I could be wrong about that. But, yeah, Purdue's been blessed to have a lot of good assistants. That's part of having a good program.
Mm-hmm.
Have good assistants, and then they become head coaches elsewhere, and you revamp with some more good assistants. So
when was the last – Gary was the last assistant to leave, right? This year. I mean, I feel like Lusk has been – the one that I'm shocked he's still here. I kind of thought that he'd be a couple years and he'd be a head coach somewhere.
Lutz has been, I think, linked to a lot of. I feel like he's been definitely linked the last few years to a couple of jobs, but I don't know if it's maybe on his end where it's not a fit, or maybe it's a school. But yeah, I feel like his time is at Purdue. His days are numbered, I think, because I think he's bound to get maybe
Shrewsbury too.
Yeah, and it'd be interesting to see this year because maybe we get it. I mean, I'd love to have him for another year, especially with next year's team coming in. But with everything going on with COVID, I mean, you never know what the firing landscape will be. I mean, obviously college football is a little different just because football is such a, I mean, that's what drives the program, and that's where all the big boosters want their money going to. So basketball is a little different. So I would be surprised if we see, far fewer firings.
Kind of what I'm cautiously optimistic on as well, and that some of those smaller schools, that would be a good first job for some of these guys that are like, well, may not have the money to fire somebody or put the investment in right now, so we're going to wait a year and then keep Shrewsbury and Lutz for another year.
I was way off when it came to the football firings and everything like that. I didn't think there would be too many, and there was quite a few. So prove me wrong. It'll be interesting.
It's a good time for a sponsor read.
Yeah.
Of course, I just lost mine. Here we go. Sunday. Good day to eat pizza. Actually, I had pizza last night. Speaking of pizza, Boiler Breakdown is brought to you by Mad Mushroom Pizza, serving Boilermaker since 1993. Mad Mushroom is located in the heart of West Lafayette and is well known as the home of the original cheese sticks. Whenever we like to visit, we like to sit down, have a nice cold beer while enjoying their latest pizza of the month, which it's February. I think it's probably the last, probably time to get your last week to get your the pizza of the month, which is the Ragin' Cajun, which is their house-made Cajun sauce and Dewey sausage, chicken, onions, celery, green peppers, tomatoes, and mozzarella cheese. Spice up your February with the Cajun-inspired pie. Next time you're in town, stop in and tell them Boiler Breakdown sent you for $5 off any order over $20. Any Boiler Breakdown listener can also use the coupon code BREAK5. That's all caps, BREAK5, to claim their discount. Online at madmushroom.com. Mad Mushroom, feed your head.
Yeah, I'm starving. I haven't ate lunch yet, and that makes me even more hungry now. So, before we get into some spring football talk, do you guys want to pick some games real quick?
Yes, sir. There's actually a big game that just tipped off.
Yes, there is. Ohio State's up 4-3 against Michigan right now. Who do you guys see win that game?
I'm picking Ohio State.
Really?
Yep.
Michigan.
I'm taking Michigan as well. I think Michigan.
I want Ohio State to win just because I don't think Michigan deserves. If they win out, I don't think they deserve a Big Ten title just because
they're going to play 3 less games than everybody.
Like right now, I mean, I mentioned it in our group chat the other day. It's like we have as many Big Ten wins as Michigan does, and we are in 5th.
At least didn't they reschedule? So they weren't going to play Illinois at all, but that one of those games got rescheduled. They were only going to play Ohio State once, so I think that one got rescheduled. So now I think like as of 10 days ago, they weren't going to play Illinois at all. They were going to play Ohio State once. They're going to play Iowa once, or maybe not at all. They're going to play Purdue once. Like of the top 6 teams in the Big Ten, they were going to play 3 times or something stupid.
I think both teams are really good. I just think Michigan's a little better. I'm kind of waiting for Ohio State to wake up a little bit, but I think Holtman's a good coach. Sorry, Andrew.
I know he's the worst.
Maryland at Rutgers, 3:00 tip this afternoon.
And Rutgers is 4.5 favorite.
Ron Harper back.
Yeah, I'm taking Rutgers.
Yeah, Rutgers.
Yeah, I'm picking Rutgers.
Iowa hosting Penn State at 5:00. Iowa's 11.5 point favorite here.
I got 10.5, but I think Iowa by 15. Yeah,
they've been shooting it well lately. When they shoot it well, they're tough to stop. They can put up a lot of points. I think Iowa rolls pretty easily.
Yeah, I think Iowa wins.
And Wisconsin, 5.5 point favorites at Northwestern.
I don't see Northwestern winning.
Yeah, I want to play Northwestern so badly because Wisconsin is just, I feel like they're kind of free falling a little bit.
I think Northwestern's just bad.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think Wisconsin wins. I think they cover, but not by a ton.
I think Wisconsin wins a close one. I'll even say that Northwestern covers that spread. I just don't think Wisconsin's very good. At least they're not playing good as of late, but Northwestern's right down there with Nebraska.
Yeah. Which is wild because considering how hot they started to start the Big Ten.
I know. They were ranked 19th at one time. Tuesday night got the number 5 Illinois Fighting Illini at the Michigan State Spartans, coming off a big win for them over Indiana yesterday.
I think Illinois wins. I think it's a close one. I think Michigan State keeps it close, and I mean, Illinois has a really bad tendency to play down to their competition a lot.
I'm shocked that Illinois is up to number 5. Like I feel like they were falling out of the rankings like 2 weeks ago. They were just so inconsistent, and
yeah,
I think they're playing better, but
yeah, I think Illinois
so
wins,
talented.
but I think it's a single digit game.
These are my second and third least favorite Big Ten teams right here. I'm not a Brad Underwood guy. I'm sorry.
No.
He's the worst. I hate every. We talk about this. I hate every Big Ten coach.
I was actually. This is funny you said that because a couple weeks ago I was out to dinner with my boss, and he's an Illinois fan. But we were talking about something. We were talking about Iowa because he hates Iowa being an Illinois fan, and I hate Iowa because of Frank McCaffrey. And we were talking about it, and he goes, "There's not a whole lot of coaches that you're a fan of, are you?" I'm like, "No, there's really not." And yeah, college wide, there's only probably a handful that I actually say that I like.
Ray Davis says Michigan State +2. I don't know if he's picking Michigan State by 2 or if that means that Illinois is only favored by 2.
I think he's picking them by 2 because
I don't have a line, and I would be shocked if it's that small. If
he picks
Ohio
State by 3, Maryland by 2, Iowa by 10, Wisconsin by 5. Okay. Yeah, so he's picking the margin of victory.
Gotcha.
I think Illinois blows them out. I think Iowa's just playing so well, and they're just
he is in my opinion, the Big Ten Player of the Year and probably National Player of the Year, but he's not going to get it. Which is
I would say I don't think he'll win either one, but I'm not arguing with you. Illinois fans know they've got to do something this year with this group because they're going to take a big step backwards next year.
You think Kofi goes pro?
Yes.
You do?
He can't get any better in college. He is what he is. I don't know if he'll ever be a decent pro because the pro game's not really built for those big guys like that. But I think they lose them both. It'll be interesting if Frazier and Williams come back or not.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I feel like Frazier's been there for 10 years.
If they lose both those guys, holy cow, that's 4 starters you're losing. And wow.
Yeah.
Wouldn't break my heart.
Nope, not at all.
I'm taking Illinois in a close one like you, Evan. Penn State at Nebraska, Tuesday night.
I think Nebraska gets this one.
This is the one that they almost gave away
10
days ago, right? Yeah. I think Penn State gets them back. I think Penn State wins by 5 or something.
Like Penn State wins a triple overtime game. They're tired on Friday. Maybe that's hopeful thinking. But Wednesday night, only one game on Wednesday. Indiana at Rutgers. Rutgers won earlier this season when the two teams met.
Man, Indiana needs this. They want to. I mean, I think they're still in the tournament right now, but if they don't win the rest of their games, they're going to have to do something decent.
But their schedule is brutal.
It is.
At Rutgers, Michigan, Purdue. Is there somebody else in there?
I think they might play.
They were supposed to play Michigan twice, but it's only going to happen once.
They play Michigan State again. Let's see here. Let me look at their schedule.
I just know at Rutgers. I think I don't know if they're home for Michigan.
Yeah, they're at Rutgers, home against Michigan, at Michigan State, and at Purdue.
May not win a game again. May not.
I think this is
Come on, Archie, save your job.
Yeah, please get that extension. Needs a little more time. I mean, Rutgers got them at home. I feel like Indiana might come out. I mean, I don't think they've lost more than 2 games or won more than 2 games in a row all year. Man, I feel like Indiana's going to win a close one in this one.
I think Rutgers.
Andrew, I think Rutgers.
We've been seeing it. I think Webb, you've been talking about it because you watch a lot of IU basketball games for some reason. Psycho
friend.
Where it just seems like the bench and like they go into timeouts and the players are just like totally ignore Archie. I think they're gonna go through some adversity. I think like they're just gonna fold.
Well, I saw a stat yesterday. It was their freshmen that they played yesterday scored 0 points, and our freshmen scored like 30 something yesterday in the same day. It's definitely for which both teams have a lot of young talent, but it's night and day.
I don't think Indiana is that good of a team at all. I just don't.
Very inconsistent. I mean, their guard yesterday. I mean, like you mentioned, Tanner at the top of the show. I mean, Trace, he dominated yesterday, but he got absolutely no help from any of his guards. I mean, like my
How many
girlfriend.
free throws did he shoot?
Probably more than Michigan State did as a team.
Yeah, it was 18 or something.
Yeah, I mean, Al Durham did nothing yesterday. Armand Franklin was very inconsistent. They just couldn't do anything. I mean, I think Christian Lander leads the country in airball 3-pointers. I'm not even joking. I think every time I watch him play, he misses them very badly. I'm not sure what is going on there, but yeah.
If they do retain Archie, I think we're going to see some players leave.
You think?
Mm-hmm. I don't know who exactly, but I think they'll lose a few guys.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah. So they're missing Joey Bronk. That's who they're missing, right?
Yeah. There's the missing piece to the puzzle right there.
Oh yeah, he's going to step in and take all of Trace's production next year. He'll be fine. Just plug and play and back. Being
no drop off from one to the other.
Yeah.
Yeah. No drop off.
Have a huge slate of games Thursday night. We got 4 of them. Nebraska at Illinois.
I think Illinois rolls in this one. I don't think they make the same mistake they did the first time around.
I agree. I think it's a massacre. I think Illinois is going to win by 25 or more.
Who did Illinois just beat yesterday?
Minnesota. They clocked them both times this year. Just killed them.
That was actually at Minnesota, which Minnesota's done really well at home.
Kalashar is out for 3 or 4 weeks for Minnesota, and their big guy Robbins is playing through an injury, so they might be done. I don't know if they can, because they're on the bubble. I don't know if they can.
6 and 10 in the Big Ten, they're on the bubble.
Yeah.
Well, because they've got some really good wins. That's the thing.
I mean, I feel like if you can't end the year 7 and 12 in your conference and make the tournament. I feel like.
Yeah, I agree.
Iowa at Michigan.
I think Michigan rolls in this one.
Rolls.
Unless Iowa is just unconscious from 3. I mean, I don't believe in Iowa. I mean, unless they are unconscious. But I mean, Michigan's old. Their experience. I mean, Iowa's got some experience obviously as well. But yeah, I think
Iowa's old. Did you say Michigan's old or Iowa's old?
Both. I think they're both. I mean, Michigan's old for sure.
Iowa's like a bunch of 30-year-olds out there.
Say how Bohannon's been there for since we were babies.
I mean, yours is like a 50-year seniors.
I swear, 2 years ago, I thought Garza was a senior and he was a sophomore. I did for whatever reason, but I think Michigan. And when I say rolls, I think it's a double-digit win, but not I think it's like a 12 to 15 point victory. But I also thought Michigan State was going to roll Iowa, and Iowa won by 30. So what do I know?
I'm going to pick the opposite of you, Webby.
That's fine.
I'm going to go Iowa in a close one. This is a tough one to pick. Both teams are really talented.
I think Iowa's just offensive potential is, if like you said, if they've got a lot of shooters, and if they get rolling and then Garza down the middle, they're just hard to stop. They don't play much defense, but they're hard. Is it still February? Yeah, February 25th, February Fran. I don't know.
Yeah.
Fran February.
Ohio State at Michigan State.
This one could get ugly.
Ohio State by 16, 18, 25. I don't know. A lot.
Yeah, I think
Izzo might cancel this game before they get there.
Call me crazy. I think Sparty pulls the upset.
Shut up.
What?
Shut up.
I just have a weird feeling. I think Ohio State loses today, and I just think they're going to start falling a little bit. I have a weird feeling. I'm probably way wrong, and Ohio State's going to win by 25. But it's got a weird feeling. I don't like Michigan State. I made that clear earlier, but everybody's picking Ohio State big except me, so it's okay.
Stand your ground.
Ohio State is up 16-12 currently.
Northwestern at Minnesota Thursday night.
Who cares?
Yeah. You're right. Who cares?
I think Minnesota.
I'll give Minnesota's a little better.
This one's gonna be a bad one too. It's gonna be I don't know. Carr will win this game.
I guarantee you, I'm not watching that one.
Yeah.
No.
Purdue at Penn State
yeah.
Friday night.
I think we talked about. I think it's a close one. I think it's going to be I hope it's not close and that we win, but I think it's going to be another. I mean, it's always when. Have we had how many overtime games have we had there? Haven't we had?
I think 3 of the last 4, I believe.
Yeah, so
I hate
avoid that. Yeah, I think it's a single-digit victory for the Boilers. It's gonna be. I think it's gonna come down to free throws at the end, which I'm gonna freaking hate. But
yeah, I like Ray's pick there. I was gonna say Purdue by like 7.
Yeah.
Yep, I was gonna say 6 or 7. So
yeah.
right there, I'll say 73-67. There we go.
Actually, I was looking at the schedule. You mentioned, Tanner, that we had scored 75 last 2 games. We've actually scored 75 3 of the last 4 because we scored 75 against Northwestern.
It's the magic number.
Yeah.
All right.
No, they put up a stat and it was like a dust. It was a stupid stat. It was like Matt Painter is 79-2 in game when holding opponents under 60 points, and it's like, like it's hard to win if you only scored 58 points.
Saturday, Michigan at Indiana.
Ooh, this could be another Ohio State type game. Yeah,
I think. Yeah. Well, I don't know, Assembly Hall, so that's going to keep it closer just because Trace is going to shoot 25 free throws. And
did you hear that Dockich call at the Hall of Calls yesterday?
Yes, I did.
He talks about, I don't know how. I mean, it's Dockich, he's a
That's
little
funny.
artist though, but he was saying that when he was on the staff and the game started getting out of hand, he would tell Knight to get up and talk to Ed Hightower. And Knight would do that, and all of a sudden, there 3 travel calls were called. And
oh, can we already tell that Bo Borowski's on this game? Like, do we know that for sure? Obviously, big time, prime time game between 2 historic programs, Big Ten that are.
When there was a game, I can't remember what game it was, when he had a mic to explain the calls. I was like, that's the last thing this idiot needs is a mic. God.
Well,
Did not need to hear him talk.
Indiana beat Michigan in football. Not happening in basketball. Give me the Wolverines. 10+.
Big.
Yeah, I think it's another, like I said, Ohio State type game where they probably get close for a little bit because, I mean, Indiana's defense is pretty good. So it wasn't yesterday. They kept Ohio State was in it, or they kept themselves in it with Ohio State, but then Ohio State ran away with it. I think it's the same thing with Michigan. I think Michigan eventually just runs away.
Illinois at Wisconsin. This is a venue that Illinois has struggled at in the past.
Well, everybody struggled at the Kohl Center for a long time.
Not Purdue. We own that place.
Other than Purdue, under Ryan, I mean, nobody went up there. Other than Purdue.
Yeah.
But now it's definitely changed with Greg Gard running stuff.
I don't think Wisconsin's that good.
No.
So I think Illinois wins comfortably.
Their bigs can't hang with Coburn. What's his face? Potter. I'm not a big fan of. Ooh, we got Ray here with
Ray going with the upset.
Ooh, yikes! I think Illinois wins. I don't think it's a blowout like I want to pick it, but I think it's like a 8 to 10 point win.
I hope Ray's right. I hope he's right, but I think Illinois wins by about 8.
Well, who do we need to root for here to keep Purdue in the double bye?
Whoever plays Iowa,
the 4. So we need Iowa and Wisconsin. So Wisconsin, Purdue's up a game on Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Them.
Minnesota and Nebraska Saturday. Another who cares game. Hey, at least this matchup is more enjoyable than their football matchup.
That is very true.
I mean, yeah, thankfully.
It's not hard. I think Nebraska gets this one.
There's one coach. I don't mind. I don't have a problem with Hoiberg.
No.
I
think Nebraska gets this one.
Yeah, why not? I'll agree.
Yeah.
Why not? Throw them a bone.
Minnesota, they struggle on the road.
Then Sunday, we got 2 games to wrap up the week. Michigan State at Maryland.
Maryland, I don't know, by 5. It's going to be a close game, but.
Yeah, I'm big Maryland.
I'll take Maryland as well. I already feel dirty picking Michigan State in the upset over Ohio State.
What are you doing?
I'll take Maryland to kind of clean myself a little bit. And then Sunday afternoon, 4:00, it's Iowa at Ohio State.
Well, we need Ohio State so we can get
Ray asking if there's an NIT this year. I'm not sure. I would be surprised. I know there's no CBI this year. So
I haven't heard much about the NIT.
Yeah, actually, I've never even think
I mean,
about that.
really, why? Why do it this
What's
year?
the point? Yeah,
Because especially if you're gonna do it on campuses, I don't.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, they'd have to make it central like the NCAA tournament, and there's really not many other cities to do it. That'd be sweet. Maybe they do the NCAA tournament in March, April, and then like April 7th, like, all right, NIT back.
Oh man, yeah.
I'm here for it.
I'm gonna take. Where's this game at? Did I say it's at Ohio State?
Yeah, it's at Ohio State.
Yeah, I'll take the Buckeyes.
Actually, the ESPN matchup predictor gives Iowa the edge at 55% chance of winning this game right now.
I have no idea what that's calculated off of. So
Me neither.
Plus, I hate the ESPN app. So and
Stop.
So
Yep.
Makes me want to go the other way. Makes me even more confident in the Ohio State pick.
Fair enough. I like the logic. Let's see. And Ray's taking the Buckeyes by 3. So
that's going to push Purdue to the 4 seed in the.
Well, I saw someone on Twitter, might have been Beneath the Paint, tweeted that there is a legit possibility. A lot of things have to happen that Purdue could get the 2 seed in the Big Ten tournament.
That's wild, isn't it?
That'd be pretty sweet.
And I remember
not be ranked. I mean, maybe and like not be ranked in 25.
Yeah.
I remember back when we lost to Miami, I'm like, yeah, we're not making the tournament.
Well, I remember at the start of the year, our preview, like Tanner, you were just happy if we made the tournament, and then
I had us ninth. I had us ninth.
Yeah, and I said I would be happy if we finished top 7, top half, and you were like, "Oh, really?" And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, I think we should be." And we're talking about finishing second now.
What do we know?
Elite 8 or bust this year now.
Well, then during yesterday's game, talking about like the Sweet 16 streaks, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's a thing still." I forgot because last year didn't happen. So technically, yeah, we last time we played, we're in the Sweet 16. We've done that 3 straight years. So us and Gonzaga, the 2 powerhouses of college basketball,
and Kentucky
and Michigan, which Kentucky's not repeating that this year. Although they beat Tennessee yesterday.
They're starting to in Kentucky. They're going to win the SEC tournament. I mean, they're catching fire, or not fire, but they're playing better. And all of a sudden, Duke played better last night. It's like, oh, here we go. They're all going to make their runs.
What's going to be stupid is Duke's going to rattle off a couple of crappy wins and all of a sudden be back in the conversation to be in the tournament when they have no right being in it.
Yeah. So Ray mentions how the NAIA is having their tournament. So
okay,
I don't know. We'll have to see. That's something to keep a close eye on here in the next few weeks.
Just a quick Google says that there will, as of 5 days ago, there will be an 2021 NIT tournament.
There we go.
16 teams. How many? Is it normally 16 or is it 32?
I thought it was 32.
I thought it was 32. It's just 16 teams.
All right. Well, there we go. Well, one thing I do know is the Boiler Breakdown podcast is brought to you by Webb's Family Pharmacy. Webb's Family Pharmacy is an independently owned community pharmacy with stores located in Rochester, Akron, and North Manchester, Indiana. Webb's is happy to announce that they are providing flu shots by appointment right in your car. Simply call to set an appointment, and their friendly and caring staff will be happy to help you. For all of your high-quality medical equipment, supplies, and pharmacy services, check out www.webrx.com or give them a call. Webb's Family Pharmacy, the professional pharmacy with a hometown touch. Boiler owned and operated. All right, guys, let's wrap it up with a little spring football talk.
I guess we can call it spring, even though there's a foot of snow on the ground.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Yep, this is the earliest Purdue's ever started spring practice, but you got to get your practices in to be done by a certain deadline in March, I believe, this year. Didn't read a whole lot. The quarterbacks were all interviewed by the media Friday. Seems like the quarterback room's real close and tight, which is nice. You like to always see that bond.
Sounds like O'Connell's going to be out pretty much. Is O'Connell going to be out most of spring?
He's limited. He was throwing. Yeah, he was in the video, the 38-second video that Boiler Football on Twitter shared the other day. He was throwing a few passes. So it's kind of roles reversed. Last spring, Jack Plummer was limited. Now O'Connell's limited. Big spring for Austin Burton. Big chance to see what he can do.
And there's something like a Limo can push him. So.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like, I mean, we know they have the three options between Plummer, O'Connell, and Burton, and now it's Alimo's had a year develop, get the system, see what he can do. I don't know. That means everything we heard from him coming out of high school was that he's got a lot of talent and potential. So that means they could have legitimately 4 good guys. And it's like, who's going to take the next step up?
A lot of guys injured and out this spring. Yanni Karloftis, the hyped up 4-star recruit, George Karloftis' brother, his hamstring still not fully healed from his season-ending injury. So he's out. Kim Allen's out. Marvin Grant's out, I believe. Grant's out.
Yeah, I think so.
Some linemen are out too.
Some linemen are out. Yeah, quite a few guys. It's like, ugh. But
yeah.
Is what it is, I suppose.
It's February, so.
Yeah, I don't know how much. I feel like every spring I take less and less stock in what's going on in spring ball just because you don't have the whole team there, but you'd like to see, it's definitely a chance for the young guys, I think, to make some strides. Maybe the guys who didn't get the chance to play a whole lot last year can maybe step into some roles where they can prove themselves to where when fall camp rolls around, maybe they're looked at as more of a, on the 1s or 2s rather than, a deep bench guy.
As of right now, no spring games scheduled, but Purdue does plan on to have at least 3 scrimmages, February 27th, March 6th, and March 19th.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll see. I always enjoy reading the reports on spring practice from Gold and Black, and I'm intrigued.
The videos they put out too are usually pretty cool.
They do a good job with that.
Just football being around again.
I'm intrigued to see what the 2 SEC transfers can do on defense. I'm intrigued by the wide receiver room. We got so many young guys in that room. I want to see who kind of steps up, fills. Nobody's got to fill the shoes of Rondell Moore, but who's going to take the slot spot?
Mm-hmm.
I want to see Malik Carr be heavily used and have him just be a weapon because he's a freak athlete.
Yeah. Yep.
Physical, everything.
New coaching staff, especially on defense. So,
and basically, I hope we can just get the practices in because last year I think we got 8 in before everything was shut down. So hopefully we can just get them in and get the. I think that definitely played a part into the debacle we had because maybe guys couldn't get adjusted to the system as well as they could have if we had a full spring. So hopefully it gives a chance for this whole new, pretty much a whole new defensive staff to kind of get their system in place.
What did you guys hear Brom's comments about the defense when asked about it and how he said he's been a lot more hands-on since the end of the season and that he's like, well, the defense has to take on my kind of personality and my mentality of being aggressiveness and not being afraid to make mistakes kind of thing. And once the guys, and it sounds like there was just a total disconnect between the coaching staff last year that I'm glad at least that they didn't let it drag on another year if it was that bad.
Figured out what they think the problem is, pulled the plug, move on, eat the money, and hopefully it's fixed.
Yeah. Well, I had to laugh because I think he made the comment like he wants the defense to be aggressive, blitz, cause turnovers, and I was like, as opposed to what? Like, what other option did we? I guess what we saw
give up third downs,
10-yard cushion on the wide receivers.
Yeah, it's like, well, no duh, but
who doesn't want that? Yeah, it's true.
So we'll see. We'll try to keep everybody updated with spring ball as it goes along. So, any closing comments besides the last sponsor read?
I'm excited to start reading about the football reports, Tan. But
Jaden Ivey is amazing.
He is fun to watch. That is for sure.
I would like to see this next game. I'd like to see Newman really. I feel like he hasn't really played all that well as to what he has been. But I'd like to see him have kind of a get right game against Penn State. So
you're welcome, Ray. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Well, the Boiler Breakdown podcast is brought to you by Sroufe Landscaping. Sroufe Landscaping has been in business for over 50 years and can handle all of your landscaping needs, including landscape design, maintenance, irrigation, hardscaping, fall cleanup, and their licensed lawn applicators. Contact them today for all of your landscaping needs at 574-223-2769. Sroufe Landscaping, design with you in mind.
And that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Boiler Breakdown podcast. Please subscribe to our podcast if you haven't already, wherever you're listening to this on your audio platform, preferred audio platform. If it's Apple Podcasts, please give us a rating and review. Really appreciate it. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Boiler Break Pod. And you can also like our Facebook page. So with that said, let's boiler up, hammer down, and beat the Nittany Lions.
Boiler up.